viral is you can't stop it. If you wanted to stop it, like what about that guy that did the drunken?
Oh, with the Star Wars thing.
Yeah, see, he wanted to stop it, but it was a viral, and nothing could be done.
One of the things about viral video is that, as Andrew points out, it often happens almost in spite of itself. Like, you know, that you can't stop something from going viral. I want to ask, I'll ask Tara from Generation Y, if you have an opinion on it, what do you think, what is the quality that makes a video go viral?
Yeah, well, for me, I think it's probably authenticity.
Right.
So, with as the whole YouTube culture thing evolves, people want to see things that are real, whether that's kitten like giggling or like a really powerful documentary. I think they're just looking for something authentic and real, and something that's not manipulating your, you know, consciousness or something for, you know, purposes to get you to buy something or whatever, tilt you in a certain way. So I think that's probably the underlying characteristic of one of them of something going viral. And then I think as it evolves and as people get more access to the means of production, it's just getting better. So like Sean's videos, for example, it's a really good combination of high production value, so it looks really good, well thought out content, and then timing is obviously, that's the hardest thing to predict, is if the climate is right in the culture.
And the thing about Sean's video too, though, is it's a whole different animal than the Star Wars kid or something else, because Sean, you were coming into it with a particular point of view. And that's a different thing from a lot of the other viral videos that we're seeing and that we're talking about, isn't it? Because you are coming in with a point of view. And it's almost, it's imperative upon you to make that point of view entertaining, isn't it? If you're going to gain a wider audience. It's like your opinion is right out there on your sleeve. Everybody knows what it is. And so in order to get eyeballs, you have to make it, that makes it even more imperative that you make it entertaining.
If you're making a video that's actually trying to get people to act on something, I think you need a pretty specific purpose in mind, and if you have that purpose, it's going to lead to a demographic, which is why I pointed out the thing about that our purpose was to engage youth, because if our purpose had just been to engage as many voters as possible, we wouldn't have called it Shit Harper Did, and it wouldn't have reached out to the people that it did.
Right. Peter, by the way, now Peter, you mentioned that you were, well, Shannon mentioned you were involved in an Adam Sandler film, and I just want to make it clear that film was not Jack and Jill. Right, good. Okay, because these people have torches and pitchforks, and they will come for you. But how do you, like, your experience has been really with long-form movie making, and really, I mean, it would seem to me, just without knowing too much about it, the viral video must be a completely different beast for you. I mean, how do you feel like when you see these things taking off in this way, but these little snippets, these little you know, memes, as opposed to the long-form film? What do you think the key difference is?
Well, I think that it's two different animals, and you know, I guess when I got the email from Shannon, I said, am I the right person for this, or do I represent the establishment? I wasn't quite sure.
Well, we've got to have something to kick against.
Well,
that's why you're here.
I'm fine with that. Just give me water. I'm okay. I think that no one sets out. I believe that no one sets out to do a viral video. Viral video is to pick up what Tara said, is why do they go viral? What is it? And I don't think there's not one answer, but it's really, what's the emotion? Is there an emotion there? Is there a feeling? And it really goes back to storytelling, no matter whether it's spiders or blind people on motorcycles or Adam Sandler and Happy Gilmore. But it's like, I think that's the key. And really right now, for me, is watching all my social media stuff, it's really the connection with all of that. And I think really that's the place that's happening. It's not just video, it's to get a message across, or to tell a story, or to entertain. And using the viral message through everything from video, and then you have, you know, then there's normal Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, et cetera, and blogs, and everything. This is the whole process. And I think my part here is really to say that that's what I believe. I believe in the viral looping system of which I do on my websites and blogs, is to tie everything together, and video is just one part of it to tell a story.
We already passed, do you think, the golden age of authentic viral YouTube video? We've already headed downhill into the land of YouTube bullshit, or is there hope for authenticity in the video world still?
Well, I don't know if I think that authenticity is the key factor. I think that as we've touched on, it's one of many. But things that we know are marketing also go viral. Look at the Old Spice guy, right? People love the Old Spice guy. It's not a secret that he's advertising deodorant. And maybe that's part of the key, is that they're upfront about it. Some local Vancouver filmmakers did a movie for this Wolfman line of skate shoes. And they're very clear about the fact that it's like a movie that advertises skate shoes, but it's great, it's really well done. And I don't feel the same sort of resentment, I guess, watching that video or passing it along. It's a really effective piece of marketing. Same goes for political parties or political causes. I think that if you're upfront about it, that goes a long way. The videos that get under my skin are the ones like what you described with the flower, or an example from a couple of years ago of the cell phone Bluetooth companies that were collaborating on a video of mobile phones popping popcorn. And that was fake. It was just to play off of people's fears about cell phone radiation. And that video went viral, and it turns out that it was actually, of course, who benefits, right? It was the earpiece companies that were manufacturing it. So I think that all of that stuff has always been there, and people have always tried to capitalize off of this kind of magic viral formula. And if anybody on this panel had that formula, we would, we'd be millionaires, right? If you could actually walk into a consultancy or a marketing company and say, well, here, look, I've actually turned lead into gold, and I have the formula for making something go viral, then you wouldn't need a job. But I think the fact is that it's random, and that authenticity only takes you so far, and then other things like timing and entirely, like, just factors completely outside of your control kick in, and that's what makes it so hard to predict.
Andrew, what do you feel? What's your feeling
Well, I think authenticity is not a bad word for it, but I would distinguish between the authenticity of the video, which of course we'll never know, and the authenticity of your experience watching it, because what people reacted to in the Struthers film was that they were tricked. They thought it was real, and then they were like, wait a minute. And then they started laughing more and more, and then they had to send it to their pal, right? And I got an email or two when it first started happening from friends who said, isn't this your film? Because I just got it from this guy in Tokyo. And some of them had the headers on, and you could see this thing was traveling around the world during the business day. It was going from cubicle to cubicle. That was the most noticeable sort of driving force, was bored people in offices where, there's nothing authentic about my film. I mean, I filmed it in my back garden and made it up from scratch, but the experience is authentic, and that's what people are thirsty for. Kids on YouTube are absolutely allergic to the idea of corporate sponsorship. And if you look at some of the, not the huge virals that everybody has seen, but inside YouTube culture, smaller virals, you will see, one of the standard things that you will see, for example, is people use any kind of junk that's lying around the house to make props. They won't get a $150 mustache. They'll just sellotape a couple of cotton balls on there. And that's part, even in drunk history, you'll see they use that same shtick, right? They purposely use bad hats and mustaches because that's something that came from viral authenticity.
Now, Tara, how do you feel about it? I mean, as Kai was saying, it's not necessarily about authenticity. It's about, to put words in Kai's mouth, it's more about cleverness. It's like, they don't care if you're selling something so long as it's clever. Do you feel that's true?
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, Kai's always got a good way of pointing out things that I don't think of. So yeah, I think that that's true.
I hate that about him.
Yeah, me too. Just kidding. Yeah, cleverness is, everyone loves cleverness, right? Especially in advertising. So I think that's true. I guess I'll just go back to what I like about, kind of building off your point, what I like about YouTube is the sort of like folk culture that it generates. And so, like you said, what you do isn't authentic, but I would argue that it completely is.
So the
because
experience is authentic, the content is not.
The spiders were real.
The experience of the viewer is authentic, right? And that's very important. That was.
You didn't have an agenda, right?
I wanted to pay my rent.
Well, that's pretty authentic reasoning.
Yeah.